Alrighty, thank you, Mr. Sampson. I apologize for those technical difficulties, everybody watching on YouTube, but figured them out, so let's get started. Good evening, Shark students and families. Welcome to our college admissions and alumni webinar. Tonight, we will be discussing the logistics of college admissions and college life with and without the effects of COVID-19. Joining us on our panel tonight, we have Ms. Lisa Wendt, representing our College and Career Center. We have Maxwell Hamilton, a Santiago alumni and current sophomore at University of Utah. We have Kyle Kropko, a Santiago alumni and current senior at UCI. If you have any questions at any time during the webinar, please hold them until our closing Q&A session, where you can then simply type them into the YouTube live into the YouTube live chat, and our panelists will answer them to the best of their abilities. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending tonight. Let's get started.
Hello, Sharks. This is Lisa Wendt. I work in the College and Career Center. I hope you guys can see me, and I think I have technical difficulties on my end. Adam, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You
Okay.
are all good.
Okay, I see a blank screen. I was a little concerned. Okay. I know you guys are concerned about changes with COVID-19 happening, and I know lots happening on the news. Things are fluid, things are changing daily. This is the latest information that I have that I will share with you today. Tomorrow is a very important day. As you can see, tomorrow is the first day for not only the CSU, UC applications that open up, but it's also local scholarships and FAFSA. So you've got your applications for college and you have your financial aid piece, all that opens tomorrow. So tomorrow's a really exciting day. The new thing that changed this year is you want to definitely go on californiacolleges.edu to start your applications there. And the reason you want to do that this year, it's totally different from last year, is our school system has an agreement with California colleges, and you guys should all have your logins. If you don't, you can email me. I can help you with that. I can reset your passwords. But you want to do that because it will pre-populate all your transcript for you. So you don't have to sit there and enter every class, every grade, all that stuff hand one by one. So that's really important. So you'll find everything there, the Cal State, the UC, the community colleges, the financial aid, everything is going to be found on californiacolleges.edu. So that's really, really important. You'll see the deadlines there as you see. Go ahead and take a picture of the screen. You also have my information, but you'll see the deadlines for the Cal States is now extended. They did extend it for you guys until December 4th. So you have a couple extra days to work on that. I don't recommend waiting till the last moment. Very dangerous. You never know with technology what can happen. Also with the UCs, they are very strict about their November 30th deadline. So you got to be on top of that too. Don't wait until Thanksgiving week. I know everybody thinks, oh, I'm going to be out of school. It's easier to do that. Don't wait until that last week. It's very dangerous to do that too. I also want to point out that, I put the websites there for the private universities, the military. There's also your career and technical education programs that you can look up. And then back to the financial aid piece. Again, tomorrow, FAFSA, super, super important. You guys have been hearing the word FAFSA for a long time. Tomorrow's the day. It's FAFSA or California Dream Act, whichever one you qualify for. We are going to be hosting workshops. So we'll have Zoom workshops. You can call me, you can call your counselor. We are here to help you guys. I know it sounds overwhelming that you have all these applications due at the same time, but they're not really. We're here to help. Back to local scholarships. I recommend going to the classroom. You have to log into the local scholarship classroom. The thing you have to remember about scholarships, guys, is basically it's free money, obviously. The local scholarships is a smaller pool of people. It's only typically open to our CNUSD students. So you guys have a very good chance of getting a scholarship through the local scholarship. General scholarships are opened up nationwide. So yeah, there's some big giant money dollar amounts that you can get in a general scholarship. Unfortunately, you are going to be competing against everybody in the United States. So those are harder to get. I don't discourage you from trying those. Definitely work on those too. Again, bigger money is available, but local scholarships is the way to go for sure. That deadline is February 5th. You will be submitting everything online. So look to the classroom for all the good information. It's literally step-by-step information. Once you join the classroom, you will get all that information there. The one thing I do want to go back and emphasize about FAFSA, I always hear every year, my favorite line is, oh, my parents don't want to fill it out because we won't qualify for anything anyway. Well, that may be the case. They're probably thinking about the grants that you can qualify for, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't qualify for the student loans. Student loans through the government are the lowest interest rate that you can acquire. So you definitely want to do that for that reason. But the other most important reason is a lot of scholarships, some of our local scholarships too, if you don't fill out the FAFSA, you will not qualify for that scholarship. So you have to do the FAFSA. It's also for, hey, let's say you want to do a work job study. You want to work on campus at the school you pick. If you don't fill out the FAFSA, you won't qualify for that job. So you definitely want to do that as well. What's the other thing I wanted to mention? Oh, again, my contact information. I think it's on the next slide. I see a black screen, so I'm not sure what you guys are looking at. My contact information. The most important way to find me right now in the virtual world is through my Instagram account. I kind of post things there daily, what's happening. We are hosting lunchtime virtual visits. A lot of you have been on those, and I thank you for that. We had a really good turnout today with Cal Poly Pomona. I pretty much have one college scheduled every single day. We don't do them on Fridays because the schedule is a little bit different, but we have one scheduled every day through October and into the first week of November. So take a look at my Instagram. In my bio in my Instagram, it'll link you to my newsletter, which you see there. I have a newsletter created in S'more, and that's where you'll find the list of lunchtime virtual visits where you can sign up on the Google form, and then I will send you the Zoom link the day of the actual visit. But that is my information. You have my phone number, my email, my newsletter. I update daily. And I think that's about it. Again, I don't see questions or anything. So hopefully if there's questions, we'll be able to address those somehow. The next slide was the SAT and the ACT, if we're on that slide. Those dates are there for you guys. Just know it's very important to know and remember that all the schools are pretty much test optional this year. They are not going to be looking at your ACT and SAT scores. They have told me, especially the CSUs, that they're going to use those for placement ability only. They're not going to be using those for admissions. So that can kind of take a weight off of you guys. If you hadn't taken the SAT, that's fine. But if you still want to take it, those are the dates. The unfortunate thing is around here, I've heard that all the locations, even if they were scheduled, have been canceled. So it's kind of hard to find a location right now. The other update with the CSUs right now is the GPA has been changed. It is now a 2.5 or greater with your A through G classes. Also, if you go to the counseling website on our main website, Santiago website, we just updated a bunch of information about the UC information. So that link is there as well. And I think that's about it. If there's any questions, hopefully somebody can see those in the chat and maybe tell them to me if possible, or I can get you answers if you email me as well.
We're actually going to be handling all of the questions at the end
awesome.
in a Q&A session.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wendt.
Okay,
we really appreciate that. All right, moving on to Maxwell Hamilton. He is a Santiago alumni and current sophomore at University of Utah.
Hello, everyone. It's lovely to have you all here. Hopefully we can get you some good information tonight. So I just want to start out with some information and some suggestions that I have for you guys based on my first year at the university when it was not impacted by COVID. And then, of course, this year, which has been heavily impacted by COVID-19. And so the first thing that when I first got to college, the hardest thing was getting accustomed to the college experience. Especially if you're living on campus, because it's a huge switch and it's a huge transition. It's not something that you've most likely done in your entire life. So it's a really big thing. And one of the first things that I would suggest you do once you kind of get your feet in the water and you feel like you're doing all right is find a job on campus. And this is for a couple of reasons. One, college is very expensive. Having a job is going to be very helpful for you paying tuition, paying for the nights out with your friends, everything like that. And I think the greatest thing is getting a job on campus, because it has the most flexibility because every single person that's going to be employed on campus are going to be your peers, your other students at the university. And so your employer, the person who schedules you and stuff like that, understands that you are a student first. And so you're going to have a lot of flexibility on your hours. They'll totally understand if you're like, oh, I can't work on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. because I have a class or I have a review session. They'll totally understand that and be extremely flexible when that happens. And so I think that's a great opportunity. And then another thing with finding a job on campus is that the people that you're working with are going to be most likely your peers. And so you can make a lot of friends and a lot of connections that way that could last possibly even a lifetime. So that's a really good way to meet new people, get your feet in the water, get accustomed to your busy and crazy schedule as you get started, all while making some good money. And for the next thing, social events. The first couple of weeks of college, especially, you're going to be invited to a lot of social events through the university and other outlets. My one recommendation is that if you are living on campus, you attend these events, because making connections at the start of college is so important, because every single person there is open to making new friends. Every single person there is in a new situation and they want to meet new people. And so if you're able to start talking to the people around you from the very start, even in your classes, and making friends that way, then it is extremely important. I know in my experience, I attended an event before classes even started, and I've made a really good group of lifelong friends that I will cherish forever. And so it's really important to, get the ball rolling right away and make some good friends. And there's a lot of group projects in college. So making friends in your classes on the first day, just turning to the person next to you and going, hey, how's it going? And introducing yourself. That could be extremely important for not only your grades, but your social life as well. And so now I'm going to move on a little bit about my experiences this year with everything being online and the entire campus being impacted by COVID-19. So this year I am a resident advisor. So I do I'm a student leader and I look over a group of residents here on campus. And this is especially interesting this year. So a couple of things that have happened are, all of the in-person events, all the social events have been canceled. Some of them have moved online. And so it's a lot harder to interact with the people around you and meet new people and make new friends. But there still are a lot of outreach possibilities. And so hopefully you guys don't have to experience a completely online section when you first get to college. But if you do, make sure you're taking those opportunities when they come your way. If there's a webinar session and it offers the chance for you to meet new people, definitely take it, because college, when all of your classes are online and everything like that, it can get a little lonely. And so you're going to want to make some solid connections that you can keep up with online, as well as in person when you're socially distanced or outside and stuff like that. And I'm sure by next fall, there will probably be more in-class classes. However, I'm sure there will still be some that are online. And the one thing that I suggest for your online classes is ask for help, because it can be a lot harder to concentrate during them when you're just watching Zoom calls all day and everything like that. So if you don't understand any material, just ask for help from your professor or your peers, and they will be willing to help you, because they understand that what you're going through is not something that's unique. Everybody's going through it. So they'll definitely be willing to help you. and and they want you to succeed. You know, that's the biggest thing. All of your professors, everyone at the university, want you to succeed academically, socially. I mean, they're there for you. So make sure you're taking advantage of all of the resources that are provided for you. So that's it for my little introduction there. I'd love to hear any other questions during the Q&A about anything. I know a lot about living on campus with and without COVID. So if you guys have any questions about that, let me know during the Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Max. That was brilliantly put. Next up, we have Kyle Kropko, a former Santiago student and senior at UCI. Go ahead, Kyle.
All right, thank you, Adam. All right, so I'm going to talk about a little bit on the flip side of the coin about commuter experience at college. So right now I'm in my 4th year at UCI. I'm a biz admin major, and I am a commuter as well. So honestly, this whole online thing has been a little bit better for me. I don't have to go to campus every day, but I mean, it does have its pros and cons, which I'll talk about a little bit. So as a business administration major at UCI, you can have 2 emphases. Mine are finance and accounting. And I've always wondered when I first heard it, I'm like, well, what do you even do in finance and accounting? So at the core of it, finance is basically just how companies can raise money. They make investment decisions for their company. And also you learn how to manage your stock portfolios pretty well. I know a lot of people always want to learn how to do that. So it's a pretty good route if you're into that type of thing. All right, and then accounting, they're sometimes used synonymously, but they're really different. Finance and accounting are. So accounting is basically how to log your transactions for a company and analyzing your 3 financial statements and also doing taxes for companies as well. So if that's sounds like something that you'd like to get into, I would definitely suggest this type of major. And also you don't have to have like any prior background at all. It's really taught from the ground up. So that's something that I've really enjoyed doing. And as for my college experience, I actually never lived on campus before. I commuted all 4 years. And so one of the reasons for that is college actually is a lot of money. And personally, I didn't receive any scholarships or I never took out any loans because at the heart of it, debt is a real consideration that you should take into when going to college. I know it's so easy to just think about like living on your own finally, but if that's something that's really not feasible for you, I don't think you should feel bad. It's definitely something that I wish I could have done given the opportunity, but you shouldn't feel bad if you're not going to be living on campus because at the end of the day, a UC is roughly about $15,000 per year for tuition alone. And this isn't to scare you. This definitely is an investment into your future. So I'm not saying, oh my gosh, it's so expensive, you shouldn't do it. But it is something that you should try to minimize the cost of while getting the most out of it. And that's something that I think commuting can help with. And so if anyone here in the chat has questions about being a commuter student, especially at a UC, I'd be happy to give some more insight into that. And another thing that I did while working or while going to school was I also got some internships and had jobs, just like Max mentioned. I think getting a job is a very good thing to do during college. One of my internships was at KLK Capital Management, which is a wealth management firm based in Irvine. And I think internships are a really good way for you to learn about the ins and outs of the field that you're learning. It's a good way that you can learn real life practices of what it is you're learning in the classroom. So that was definitely a really good experience for me. And also I have a job at Apple Retail, which Apple Retail is also a good student-friendly job. They work around your hours for school. And it's also been a great way to have a local job. So I go to school at UCI, and then Apple is just 5 miles down the street. So it's really easy to have the work-life balance. And yeah, I would be happy to answer any questions later on about commuting or working during school, or if you have any questions about business administration, I'd be happy to answer those. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much, Kyle. That was great. Good job. So at this time, we'll be beginning our live Q&A session. So if you have any questions that any of our panelists can answer, feel free to just drop them in that YouTube live chat, and we can go ahead and start answering those. Thanks, guys. All right, so to get started, our first question, this is I'm going to assume addressed to Ms. Wendt. How will the SAT be affected, as outside California students will have them also because they're getting canceled every month? So essentially, how is the SAT changing during COVID?
So most schools are test blind, meaning that they're not looking at the SATs or ACTs this year. They're using them. If you do submit, you can submit them if you want, but they're using that more for placement more than admissions. So I wouldn't be too concerned if you haven't taken it or you don't get a place to take it with the dates that are available. It's called test optional for private schools and test blind. So don't even worry about it. Cal State's literally told me yesterday that they're not even looking at them. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nguyen. The next one is whether or not you would recommend still taking the ACT or SAT, even though these schools are test blind.
Again, it's good practice. It will help for placement. They said they are still taking your AP scores as well. That will help you with some of your classes that you won't have to take. I wouldn't stress about it. I wouldn't travel to another state to take it. I would kind of just smile and say you're luckier fall 2021, and you really don't have to submit them, but it is for placement if you do have it.
Thank you very much. This next question is for Kyle. This person wants to know if you are commuting for Corona, and if so, what is your typical commuting schedule?
Yeah, so I do commute from Corona, and the good thing about being on a college campus is that you can pick your own schedule. So you're not going to be going Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Usually I pack my schedules on Tuesday, Thursdays. So I'll have class usually starting at 8 a.m. and then I'll end the day around 3 or 4, and then I'll have 4 classes in those days. So that way I get long weekends. I just have a heavy packed schedule on Tuesday, Thursday. And if that's not the case, I try to get Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So at least I have those 2 days off in the middle. I could work on homework or any other assignments that I have. So I think just taking advantage of building your own schedule, it's kind of like a puzzle in a way, trying to get everything to work out for you. But I've been able to do it for the last 4 years. I think I've only had 1 quarter where I had to go all 5 days, but it's only 10 weeks. So it's not too big of a deal in the long run. But yeah, that's usually how I work around that situation.
Great, thank you, Kyle. So our next one is what GPAs are most UCs and Cal States looking for? So around what areas for your GPA would you need to get into the school?
So for Cal States, it is now 2.5. That is with your A through G classes. For the UCs, I think they said it was 3.0. But you can go to, like I said, on the counseling website. We just uploaded it today. And there is a UC/information link, and you can click on that, and it should be all there for you as well.
Thank you very much. Our next one is, can the PSAT be used as an SAT score?
The PSAT, no, is not used as the SAT score. Those are just practice tests. They want your SAT score if you've taken it in the past.
All right, thank you very much. So while we're waiting on those next few questions, Kyle, you're graduating this winter, right?
Yep, I'll be graduating in December. So by Christmas, I should be done.
Awesome. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you did that just for a second while we get more questions in?
Yeah, I mean, graduation, it's basically you just have to reach a unit requirement in college. So it's really, in your major, they're going to have a set amount of classes that you have to take in order to fulfill the degree that you're receiving. So it's business administration. So there's definitely a lot of finance classes, strategic management classes that they have for the requirements. And then other than that, there's some GEs that you have to take as well, which are general ed. So this could be anything like technology or fine arts or literature, things like that. And those are really open. You can really take any class that you want to fulfill those as long as it fills the GE. So you can actually, in my first 2 years, my schedule was always really diverse. So I definitely had so many classes that I never would have thought I would have taken, but they really are eye-opening. After you get into the 3rd and 4th week, you start to learn a lot. even though I know some people say they don't want to take them because they're not in their major, but I personally enjoyed them. And then you can actually graduate early, like I'm doing, if you reach the unit requirement. And APs are also a great way to get ahead for graduation. So for me, I had some credits coming in from AP classes, and that's what's helping me graduate early as well. So they can count for units and fulfilling general education classes as well. So the two that I would recommend, if you're able to take them, would be AP Calc and also AP Lang, because those get you 8 units at a UC. And they also fulfill your entry-level math and entry-level writing requirements. So you can actually save a lot of time by doing those two just alone. A lot of classes at UCs are just electives, so you'll get credit for them, but you don't surpass any other classes. So yeah, that would be like a good piece of advice I would offer, is make sure you at least get those 3s in your AP classes, because it really does help down the road.
Thank you, Kyle. So next up we have, are these schools test blind for SAT subject tests as well as the SAT?
The answer is yes, they are test blind.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, how can I find local scholarships?
Great question. Tomorrow it's going to go up live. The classroom will be open. You actually can join the classroom today. I'll give you the code if you want to write it down. It's N as in Nancy, G as in girl, X as in X-ray, N as in Nancy, 7MM, Mary. So join the classroom. Once you're in the classroom tomorrow, you'll be able to go in the classroom and see step by step on how to submit the local application. Some of them require a supplemental. Some of them require a totally separate application. So you'll see they're all by category, and there's step-by-step instructions on how to download it. They have to be typed, obviously, and then you submit them back virtually to the classroom as well. Don't wait till the last minute on that either, and definitely contact me if you need any help. That's what I'm here for. I will walk you through it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Wen. So our next question is, what are the best ways to contact a teacher for a letter of rec? Oftentimes, students' emails get buried, especially now when that's the primary form of communication between staff and students.
So part of the steps in the application process, there is a link that's going to send it straight to the teacher, and the teacher can either send it back to you or they can send it directly to us in the scholarship email, and it's in the instructions as well. The one thing you have to keep in mind, especially now with teachers being so inundated with work, you want to give at least a 2-week window. So this is why I'm emphasizing, don't wait till the last week. Don't wait till the last month. If you guys get them in before Christmas or do them over winter break, that's even better. I know that February 5th deadline sounds like you have plenty of time. Don't wait. You have to give those teachers enough time to write those letters, because you do need 2 letters of recommendation for every scholarship.
Thank you very much. Next up, this is for Kyle. Kyle, did you say that you didn't take a single student loan? Was that because you didn't live on campus or because of your job?
Yeah, so for that, it was a little bit of a combination of both. I know scholarships are a great way if you do want to live on campus, but I didn't live on campus, so I was able to save money that way. And working also does contribute to it, because if you think about it, living on campus is usually about 15 or 16,000 a year at UCI at least. So that shaves off some of the cost. And then working, you can definitely save up a lot of money if you're working during school, if you know how to budget your time correctly. And it's really a good way to just pay off the tuition. Tuition for use at UC is around 15,000 a year. So if you have your job, you could budget about, I would say, like half of that a year. And if you have help from your parents, I'm sure they'd be very thankful for having that help as well. So yeah, just a combo, to answer your question, a combo of both commuting and also having that part-time job.
Thanks, Kyle. This next question is for Maxwell. You are an RA this year, so can you talk about the benefits of that, what comes with it, and how to go about doing it?
Yeah, so being an RA is honestly, it has definitely saved me financially. So that is definitely one of the biggest benefits. Getting free housing is absolutely incredible, especially if you are planning on going to a college out of state. Um, Housing can be extremely expensive, especially if you're planning on living in like upper campus housing, in an apartment off campus, anything like that. It can be very expensive. So being an RA this year has been extremely helpful um, in the monetary sense. And it has also even helped me get other jobs on campus through my connections in the housing department. And so it's really helped me in that way as well. So I would definitely suggest uh, at least applying to be an RA your second year, because not only do you get to live on campus again and you can be close to your classes and everything like that, you can also make a lot of good connections with the people in your housing department and some higher ups for more opportunities, as well as helping out with you paying housing. Not having to do that has been extremely critical in me being able to afford this year, especially. And then also, even though you are an RA and you're technically an authority figure, the residents that you're looking over, those are people that you're living with, and there's a good chance that you could become friends with them, those people, and make some good quality connections there. And that really just happens with living on campus, period. But you get an extra opportunity there being on RA. So I would definitely recommend that to everybody who's planning on living on campus for multiple years. And yeah, I just think it's a great opportunity.
Thank you, Max. That is a unique perspective. Next up, we have this is for Kyle. If it's not too personal, what was your GPA when you applied to UCI?
My GPA, I think I want to say like 4.3 or 4 in high school. But honestly, I've met so many people that, I mean, the GPA is a factor, but it's more important that they see you're involved in a lot of activities on campus, and also your personal statements also make a big deal as well. So writing those and making sure, I know I remember writing mine. I would get a lot of help from people like even language arts teachers if they're not busy. I remember they would be happy to look at them. But yeah, I think around 4.3 or 4.4, I want to say. But that shouldn't discourage you. Like if it's, I would suggest everyone to apply. Just make sure you have those extracurriculars intact, and make sure you have some good statements.
Thanks, Kyle. This next question is for Ms. Wendt. Someone wants to know, how does taking the SAT or not affect your placement, as I'm assuming as far as other applicants goes?
So I think you're asking how the placement works with your SATs. That would be, so let's say you start at the community college and you're in a lower level math based on your SAT score. So there's going to be certain levels of math that you have to complete before you transfer to UC or a Cal State. So it's basically placing you in the level that you score into. That's what they're saying when they are using your SAT as a placement. Every school is going to be a little bit different. So you definitely want to contact the school directly to see what your score translates to and what prerequisites you would need to take before you can move on. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Ms. Wendt. Next up, we have, for every scholarship, do we need a separate letter of recommendation, or can we recycle letters of rec for different scholarships?
Oh, good question. You can recycle your letters of rec. You just need two. So I would pick the best two teachers that know you the best, whoever you think is going to write the most positive, shining letter about you. And you can use those for, if you apply to 10 scholarships, you can use it for all 10. So good question.
Thank you, Ms. Wendt. Where do you have the schedule to see the colleges? Somebody wants to know for October.
Yes, on my newsletter on the S'more. So the link is in my bio in Instagram. My Instagram is shs_college_career. And then if you go to the bio, you can click the link there. It's also on the website under college and career. So if you go to the S'more, it's a newsletter. Everything is listed there, and you just click on each college that you want, and it'll take you to the Google form. And then once I get your response on the Google form, I email you the Zoom link.
Thank you very much. Next, we have somebody wants to know if college tours in person will be available this year.
Some of them are. Like I said, Cal Poly was today, this afternoon, and they actually are doing live in-campus tours. They're just, of course, following all the social distancing rules. You have to wear a mask, social distance, that kind of thing. CBU is also doing them. He said that they're doing private ones. So yes, you can call them and schedule that. Go on their website and you can schedule them that way. Some of them are.
I know that. Thank you. That is a pleasant surprise. This question is for Max. Was there a large culture shock going to school out of state?
Yeah, there definitely is. At least in those, first couple weeks, there's a huge culture shock because, you go from living in a place that you're familiar with to being on your own in somewhere completely new. So there definitely is a culture shock. And as I mentioned before, the best way to kind of work through that culture shock and kind of get over that is to expose yourself to the many opportunities that are presented to you in those first couple weeks. Go to every social event that happens and everything like that. Leave your dorm room, leave the door to your dorm room open, so people in the hallways passing by can maybe say hello and you can maybe meet friends that way. Just take those opportunities to make yourself comfortable right away so that when later on in the year you have some solid connections and you don't feel like you're in an entirely new place because you have people that you're familiar with and you're able to kind of be comfortable in that sense. So, at first it is a little rough, but as long as you're willing to put in the work and get accustomed to your environment right away, I think it is definitely something that is manageable and not really something that you should be afraid of.
Thank you, Max. So, all right. Sounds good. We're just waiting on a few more questions and here's one more. So, this is actually for anybody who wants to answer because all of you have done it and have expertise on this subject. People are asking for guidance on essay writing. So what are some tips to effectively communicate what it is you're trying to communicate, things like that?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about mine. So I would say draw from unique experiences. Don't try to, I would say don't try to make it sound like you're just using a cookie cutter example that you found online. Definitely make it unique to you. I mean, you've all had unique experiences, even if you think it's something that is small. Those experiences will, I think, stand out in the eyes of someone reading your essay because they're going to appreciate your honesty, and then they're going to make sure that that they know what your experiences were like. They don't want to read something they've read 20 times already before on the same day. That was from me. That's how I approached mine. And when I had it read by a couple other people, they agreed with me. So I think that's some insight that I could give.
That's great, Kyle. Just the other day, we had a UC visit, and they actually had a bullet point on writing for the PIQs, the personal insight questions. And he literally said, always tie it back to yourself, use I or my statements. It's not an essay, so structure is not graded. He said, we're not even looking to see if things are spelled correctly. We just want to read it. He said, make the examples relevant to yourself today to bring the reader towards explaining who you are in high school. Don't go back to middle school or elementary school. And it must be in your own words, because he did emphasize that they do check it against the plagiarism websites that they have. So make it very personal.
Yeah, and both people before me, absolutely amazing comments. Last year, I did go to a kind of essay writing seminar with somebody who goes through all of these scholarships and admissions at my university. And one of the things that they really focused on was, as Kyle said, being unique, because they said that when they're reading all of these essays, they're reading them kind of back to back to back all day. And so when you start reading the same thing over and over and over again in these essays, you start to lose focus. And then those people who are just repeating everything, they just kind of fall into the masses and they don't stand out. So definitely be unique. And I know this is probably going to be very enticing, writing about COVID-19 and your high school experience with COVID-19, but I would recommend to be unique. I would try to avoid kind of writing about your experience with COVID-19 because that is something that everyone is going through. And if you have had like a very unique experience with COVID and how that has affected your personal life and stuff like that, go for it, totally. But if you're just going to be talking about how that has affected your school life in a way that has affected everybody's school life, I would try to avoid that and focus on a more unique story that will really set you apart from everyone else.
And I think that's a good point.
That was great. Thank you, Max. We actually have one more question and then we're going to start wrapping things up. And this last question is for Max. How do your classes work? Are they online or hybrid or fully in person?
Yeah, so right now, all of my classes are online. They were originally scheduled to be hybrid, some online, some in person, but that immediately changed within a couple of weeks before school actually started. And so, yeah, everything's been online. And then it looks like next semester as well will most likely be a majority online with a small chance of some being in person. And I do know that there are some people at my university who do have in-person classes, but it is very rare and not seen often.
Thank you, Max, very much. And thank you to all of our panelists because we are wrapping it up now. Kyle, Maxwell, Mrs. Wendt, thank you so much for coming and answering all of these questions. Thank you for the past week with being so cooperative in planning this event. Thank you to everybody who attended on YouTube. Thank you for asking all your questions and staying engaged. We really appreciate it. And we hope we got all your answers. If you have more questions, feel free to contact Ms. Wendt. She left her contact information in the slide. So you can go ahead and access that. I believe Mr. Sampson posted that in the YouTube chat. So feel free to go ahead and do that if you have any more questions. Thank you everybody so much for watching. And Mr. Sampson, if we're ready, we can go ahead and